Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to Gears and Glory. Today's episode is going to be about driver of the day, and I just think we need to lay down a couple of ground rules for literally anyone who's going to vote to use. So, like, I'm not saying that you're gonna break them if you don't listen to this episode, but like, that's on you for not listening to the Gears and Glory podcast, honestly.
Yeah.
So, Liv and Britt haven't seen much of the stuff that I've thought through right now. So this is going to be like a pitch. This is going to be like a pitch of like, here's what I think we need to do. Here's some do's, here's some don'ts. And then we'll just riff, baby. We'll figure out what works and what doesn't. And then everybody has to abide by it like international law. Or, what's the consequence if you vote wrong for driver of the day?
Your vote.
Yeah, a one race vote suspension.
Yep.
Yes, correct. Actually,
Yep.
correct. Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. Great. That's actually, maybe I'll make a little graphic and post it. So, if not abide, one race vote suspension. And then maybe, like, Stefano de Macaulay will implement our rules. And you have to, like, agree to them before voting. I would check that box, just saying. Okay. So, let's start with the do's. Reasons I think you should vote for someone for driver of the day. If it's their home race, I feel like that's a pretty automatic, like, you know, because, like, what is driver of the day? It's like, hey, you didn't win, but you did so good.
Yeah.
Like, I want to recognize your performance outside of the actual recognition of performance that's out there. Like, if you don't get points, if you don't get to be on the podium, like, I think that this performance needs to be recognized in a positive way.
Yep.
So I think home race qualifies, debuting with a team, and then just like in general, just like doing really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I feel like in the humanity that follows F1 when last season they just voted Lando every single race. And then, especially in Spain, when Nico Hulkenberg didn't get driver of the day. A stellar performance like before. And everyone was like, nah.
Yeah. So, well, that's part of the don'ts. I think do's and don'ts go hand in hand. So, like, being at your home race, debuting with a team, if you're, like, swapping mid-season, like, getting in a car and, like, doing really good in it. But then, like, things that don't, like, I have in here, fan armies, that's not a reason.
No.
That's not, and, like, Lando has been driving really good. I think Lando's trajectory, most importantly, has improved from the beginning of the season. Like, his mental positioning for where he's at now feels great. But, like, if you go P1 to P1, if your fan army just decides that you need to win that time, I don't think that counts. No. Also, I don't think, and this is where I think it's key that if you, like, voted wrong last time, you shouldn't get to vote in the next one. You should not make up for someone's past miss on driver of the day in another race.
Oh
Everything is contained to its own environment.
No.
Thursday to Sunday. Otherwise, forget about it.
Yep.
Forget about it. You voted wrong. That's okay. But don't carry that into next race. No, it doesn't count.
The start of this season was so bad for that. I think it was like Ollie and Kimi.
It was
like
race 2.
After. Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. So, that's the last piece that I have here for us to talk about is I have all the races so far and all the driver of the day and, like, why. Or, like, why not, I guess. So, like, race 1 was Australia, and it was Lando. He went P1 to P1, but, like, it was the first race of the season. Everybody was like, oh, is it going to be him? So, like, that one I'll excuse. Like, I understand it. But that one was, like...
Oscar should have got that. I know it was
actually
home
super
race.
fair.
However, he was on the timing board as DNF, and then he reversed that.
Actually, I was fully wrong.
Got driver of the day.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. I shouldn't have voted if that's what I did, which I didn't. I should have been banned for China. But everybody who saw Kimi Antonelli drive P14 to P4 in Australia, then in China was like, oh, well, like, let's give this to him. That feels worse than not getting it.
Yeah.
To get it after as a pity driver of the day?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
He acknowledged that too. He was like, what? This is wrong. No, thank you.
Crofty and Brundle and everybody on F1 TV was like, why is it Kimi?
Yeah. Because
So
we had some great. Look, I'm trying to rack my brain around China and I can't, but we had some great drives in China, and I think Carlos had a good drive. I think, from memory, I can't remember what the podium was, but, you know, Lando, Oscar, they drove really well. I think Ollie did a really good drive. You know, there were so many more deserving drivers for the Chinese Grand Prix than making up for Kimi's performance in Australia.
1,000%. Yeah, Oscar won that race, and then it was Lando and George.
Oh, George.
George should have won it in China. Actually, let's take a look at who we voted for in the Chinese Grand Prix. Actually,
that's a good call out. While you look that up, I am going to say one time that we got it right was in Japan because Yuki won. And that was his debut with Red Bull and his home race. So, like, 2 times as many reasons. And then I have the results for Japan up. And he wasn't last.
But considering...
He got points.
Yeah, considering, like, that performance compared to, like, Lawson's. Suzuka isn't known to be the easiest of circuits. Yeah. So I think that's impressive. He 100% earned it for Japan. 100%.
Yes. So, like, that one, correct. Nobody got, like, whoever voted for Yuki that time, you're good. Like, no problem. No points on your license.
I have to debate one of your don'ts. I have to. I can't sit here and I don't debate it.
Why?
Oh my god, controversy!
I know. Sorry, if we're gonna fight. The girls are fighting. But the fan base one?
Fan armies?
Yes. As a whole, yes.
Okay.
But I think that it was okay in Singapore last year where everyone voted for Daniel assuming his last race.
That's okay, yes. But that's also like that's like a fan base and. Like fan base alone won't hold up. But fan base plus like news or something's going to happen or like I don't know, like if Lance wins in Canada, that's gonna be fine. Because he came back from a race, it's his home race, his hand's broken or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think
like
with
that
Danny,
one I would get. Danny Rick, that one was correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Danny was also performance.
Yeah, he performed really well.
The fastest lap.
Yeah. I think Soph's point with fan armies is particularly Lando.
Yeah.
because the other drivers' fan armies I don't think are as loud and obnoxious as what Lando's are, except for not even Charles. Like Charles has a very big fan base as well as Lando, but I don't think when he wins Driver of the Day it is just because his fans love him. I think it is because it is warranted. Not saying that Lando's aren't. Yeah. And I'm not saying that Lando's aren't. I'm just saying that perhaps Lando wins when it's an easy win and it's not because he performed, you know, exceptionally well over the whole weekend. Like he didn't battle the whole grid. He went from P1 to P1. You know, that's kind of when he wins most of the time. Not saying that no one deserves, like no one, whoever wins Driver of the Day doesn't not deserve it. They all drive really well.
Yes.
It's just sometimes other drivers deserve it more.
They're all Driver of the Day to me.
I can't vote for, it's like a mum trying to pick her favorite child. I don't have favorites.
I couldn't possibly, but then like fully voting for Charles Leclerc every week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Okay. After Japan, we had Bahrain. Lewis won Driver of the Day in Bahrain, and that he drove P9 to P6, which
I fear that was another one where it was thrown on. He got an the sprint win, and that went into Bahrain instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because on the F1 site they have the Driver of the Day and like why they won it, and so like for Lewis it's like he had a big pass on Max Verstappen. I'm like,
thank God for that.
Yeah, and in China for Kimi they're like, yeah,
he won. I guess.
He won. Like they like came up with reasons why in China, but like we all know it's because people were making up for the fact that they didn't vote for him in Australia.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to read like the little blurbs. So yeah, I don't know. In Saudi, Max won. He went from P1 to P2. Now, if you lose places, is that driver of the day?
No. That's downgrade of the day, mate. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Whoever voted for Max Verstappen to Saudi, your race ban starts for Canada.
Yeah, actually, I'm going to add this to the don'ts. Don't pity vote.
Yeah, please not. So, we actually only started our driver of the day recaps on Instagram after the Saudi Grand Prix. So I don't know who we voted for China, but in Saudi, I voted for Oscar, Soph voted for Charles, and Liv also voted for Oscar, and then Max won.
I always vote for Charles.
I feel like Lando did good in Saudi.
Let me see the results.
He crashed out in quali.
Oh yeah, I think he made his way up the grid pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lando started P10 and he ended P4.
Yeah.
So he fully deserved it. Where was the Lando army then?
Yeah.
Okay. And why was that one was wrong.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. I remember not agreeing with that one. There were a few people that really deserved it in Saudi. I think the street tracks are really hard to vote for because there's always so many good performances because the tracks are so difficult, and it really, as much as the car impacts performance, street circuits are really about driver skill.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
And for the whole weekend as well.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. So if we're going to vote driver of the day, emphasis being on day, do we take into consideration performances in quali for races where that's not necessary? It's tricky because quali performance so influences the race these days because the cars are so wide. So when we get to Monaco, we'll talk about that of the driver of the day winner versus other types of performances that maybe deserved more light or things like that. So that is interesting. Do we take into consideration maybe not necessarily free practices unless they're you're topping the charts and you're not one of the top 4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I usually when I vote, in my perspective, I just take into consideration the race. Forget the sprint even. The sprint's its own thing.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
I fear they need driver of the day for each race. Otherwise, it needs to be driver of the weekend because it's not really driver of the day.
Yeah.
Taking consideration,
Yeah.
Totally.
But then, so those are two distinct things. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so we just talked about Saudi.
What was after Saudi?
Miami,
I think was correct, and it coincided with P1 in the race. So Oscar won driver of the day. Oscar also won the race and started 4th. He was the one, he was going around doing some insane passes, really sending it, really committing.
Yeah.
And earned both the win and driver of the day for those reasons. Drove a really hard race to get to where he was. And exercise patience, because I think that's where people sometimes get into spats with Max is there is obviously a degree of use it or lose it with opportunities, but when you have the opportunity to wait and get him in a mistake or get him when his tires go off, getting Max, I think that's one thing that Oscar performed really well in Miami of let him give the correct opportunity to do it that one time to get through and then to get his win. So that one coincided, which often I don't think if you win the race, you should get driver of the day. But if it is an instance like that, Max in Brazil last season. Yeah. 100%.
If it's a battle for P1, then that's obviously deserved because that is the ultimate, outcome of the weekend. That's what everyone wants is a battle to P1. But P1 to P1, I don't think should ever have driver of the day. Not unless it's a 2-stop race. There's multiple safety cars.
You lost places. You made them back up.
Yeah. Not unless there's a little bit of
movement.
Battle. But if it's Monaco, where it's you start P1, you do your pit stop. You get back into P1, you finish there. Boring. No. I
agree.
think from Miami is when Driver of the Day started to be less about making up for the last weekend and
Yeah.
start being more about that day and that performance.
Yeah. And you know what? I also think Oscar really deserved Driver of the Day for Miami because I mean I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Miami's where we got that iconic video of him in the background of Lando's interview pulling the funny face when Lando either let pass or crash.
Yep.
Driver of the Day for that alone.
Yep.
That was
I think that was also the weekend where we saw after. No, it wasn't then, because if he started P4, then it wasn't. Where was that one where Oscar was giving his interview and then, like, the camera was focused on Oscar and then it, like, defocused on Oscar and focused on Lando behind him, just, like, staring at him?
Oh, gosh.
Was that, like...
That must have been after a quali, though.
Yeah, it was after quali, and I think he qualified P1. Maybe it was China?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
It's in every single Landoscar edit that I see on my For You page.
Oh my god.
Every single one.
Exactly what you're talking about. And
I think it's either China or it was a street circuit.
Okay.
I mean, he got P1 in Imola, so it could be Imola.
I think it was way earlier in the season. I think it was China or Bahrain or Saudi.
Okay. Saudi.
No, it must have been China or Bahrain because Max started P1 in Saudi.
Max started P1 in Saudi, and in Bahrain, Oscar started P1, and that's where Lando was like way behind. In like he started P6.
Must have been China.
Actually, P1 was Piastri and P3 was Lando, so it could be.
Yeah, it might have been that. Because it could also be a sprint race as well. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Regardless, yes. That was well deserved.
Yeah.
That one was correct. Okay, the next one after that, I also think was correct, was Imola. Max won.
R.I.P. Imola.
Oh.
Yeah, actually, huge bummer. Actually, yeah, moment of silence for Imola the race. Okay, but we do get Madrid.
I'd also like a moment of silence for the Imola cat, even though he died like a couple years ago now. I feel like that's where Imola went downhill, and that's why it's no longer on the calendar, because we don't have the cat anymore.
Yeah.
For a cat, guys, come on.
Okay. But yeah, so Max won Driver of the Day in Imola because, and I mean, I think it was the greatest move in the whole race, was the pass, lap 1, turn 1, absolutely sent it on the outside. Absolutely deserved it for that.
Yeah.
That was sickening, exciting, all in one. I think I was literally filming a Snapchat to Brit while the race started, and I didn't know that happened. I was not paying attention to Max and Oscar. I was eyes locked on Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly down the field because those two
that turn 1.
Yeah. I remember that video because I was saying, I think, Liv, your coverage was like a little bit behind mine. And so I think I sent you a video and I was like, oh my god, Oscar and Max. And then you were like, what the fuck is happening with Charles and Pierre? And I was like, Charles and Pierre? What's going on there? We were just watching totally different things.
Yeah, Imola was fun. But that replay came, I saw what happened. And I think it was one of 2 times this season I audibly went, and like, that's only happened twice. The second time last weekend, but we don't want to talk about that yet.
We won't talk about it. But yeah, that one was correct. Nobody lost their voting license for Imola.
No.
Okay. And then we had Monaco, and Driver of the Day was Charles, which I think this poses such an interesting thing because it's a home race, but he went P2 to P2. But the conditions of the race offer like an asterisk of like, it's really hard to pass. That said, weren't there passes? There were passes in the back of the field. And like part of me is like, do those people maybe deserve it more for like actually sending it or like actually making a move? But then like, is that qualified by being in the midfield backmarker team, you know? And then I just like always think it's tough because like if you have a Monegasque driver and you are in Monaco, it's going to be really hard for anyone but them to get Driver of the Day because of the history and like connectedness of like the people from there to the race. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's really interesting.
Well,
I
like,
voted for Charles. So
in minds, because like I fear Charles won driver of the day, A, because he's a Monegasque, but
yeah,
B, he kind of got close to overtaking Lando at the end if
yeah.
he made a
Yeah.
risky move but didn't want to risk it.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I'm like, should we have like driver of the day George Russell, because bro really
Sent it. He did something.
he sent it. He got a penalty because maybe he shouldn't have ran the chicane, but
But he tried something.
Mhm.
when
Yeah.
his name Williams is playing team games like that, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
and
even like
quit.
yeah, like even should like Max have gotten it for like taking one to like give something to Charles for like trying something.
Mm.
Yeah.
So our votes, first off, our votes for Imola. I voted for Alex. So voted for Yuki, and Liv voted for Pierre for Imola.
What did Yuki
Then Max
do?
That was a pity
won.
vote.
Max Pierre's
lost.
was a pity vote because didn't he DNF?
No, he like Charles pushed him into the gravel. He didn't push him into the gravel, but
Oh, that was the cars moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he dropped right to the back, but he climbed up a little bit. So that's
Yeah.
why I was sort of like, he sort of redeemed himself a little bit
Yeah.
after the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a
That's
pity
right.
vote, but like,
That's right.
And then Yuki drove P20 to P10, which is
Yeah.
why I voted for him.
Yeah, that was a
That-
sleigh. That was a sleigh.
Yeah.
Um,
What did Yuki even do? Oh, just drove up half the field.
just normal Red Bull things.
I think,
Yeah.
I think Alex was P4 a lot of that race.
Yeah, I think he was like even like P1 at one point, like during the pit stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But just because he stayed out on his tires. It was
Yeah.
his tire strategy. It wasn't like
Tire whisperer.
he drove himself there.
This season is the season I become an avid Alex Albon fan.
Yeah, I'm feeling it happen.
Yeah. So for Monaco, I voted for Isaac. So I voted for Charles, and Liv voted for George. And then
Okay.
Yeah.
I was being honest to myself just then when I said maybe we should have voted for George. I did.
yeah.
Oh my god.
I can't.
Remember why I voted for Isaac. Like, I know that he performed well, but I can't remember what the particular reason was that I was like, yeah, he deserves it
He
this weekend.
qualified 6th. He qualified 6th, or did he finish 6th? He finished 6th.
Period.
Slay.
Yeah,
He
period.
held position.
Heck yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
for his rookie season, he's doing amazing.
Yeah, well, and that's one where I think we can allow Saturday to bleed into Sunday judgments for voting because, like, especially in the front half of the field, passing is going to be so difficult because it's either, like, you either crash or, like, you have to, like, really be careful about your moves. Like, it is so dangerous to make a pass.
Yeah.
The stakes are so much higher because everything is narrower because the cars are so wide. So that's one where I think, like, your fastest lap like has an effect, like your qualifying position has an effect on like whether or not you will be even in the running to get driver of the day. And like to be like Isaac's, well, he's been qualifying like it's nobody's business. Like he has been doing this for years.
Yeah,
he's qualifying so good this season.
Watch out because
in most races.
Yeah.
He's been in Q3 so many times, which like he's the like driver I'm backing for like rookie of the year. Over Ollie, over like Gabby Bortoletto, love the sass. This was one of the best races for him. Next time I put him in the wall. Okay, great. Like that's great.
Okay, welcome back, Seb Vettel.
Yes,
welcome back,
100%.
Naughty,
but I'm backing. I know, but I'm backing Isaac for my rookie of the year.
Yeah. But yeah, then we move into Spain. This one I know that we're all not in agreement on for who won it. So Max won it, but I must say, driver of the day voting closes, I believe, 2 laps before the end of the race.
I think that
Max really shot himself in the foot in the last 2 laps. So I think he actually got driver of the day before all of the penalties and stuff were actually announced to the public. But
I did, and I know a lot of other people voted for Max as soon as the Max George incident happened. So voting hadn't closed at that stage. The second he did that to George, I voted for him.
Of course you did.
Even as a George fan?
I love George. I'm literally a George Russell stan. But that was absolutely iconic. It was hilarious. It was George Manic in Monaco, and it was Max's turn again in Spain.
Look, it was iconic. You cannot deny that Max's drama and, you know, sass in Spain was not iconic. Yeah. However, I do wish that Nico won.
He should have.
He deserved it. He deserved it more.
I think we all voted for Nico.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Liv didn't.
Yeah. In glory terms, I voted for Nico. In actual F1 terms, I voted for Max Verstappen.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we've had so far. So going into Canada, we need to keep in mind, okay, yes, it's Lance's home race. I don't think he's going to win. Unless he ends up in, like, the top 5, I don't think Lance is going to win. That said, maybe he'll end up in the top 5. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Lance like, he was off last week because of an injury. He's back this week where no one really expected him to be back.
Yeah.
It's his home race. As long as he doesn't DNF, I reckon that he has a good chance of winning Driver of the Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Completely. I assume he'll finish top 10, which, to me, that's deserving. Because, like, Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve, which I can't freaking say. Tough track. Fast circuit. If you can finish in the top 10, good enough for me.
Yeah, well, it's like being on and off whether or not it's supposed to rain, too. So some people are, in general, just like predictions-wise, gunning for Max, which I understand. But the hairpin at the end of that circuit is crazy. Whenever I drive it in the video game, I'm always, like, miles into the runoff. Like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
My lap times are so bad.
Yeah.
It's also super likely for a safety car, so
maybe
we'll see Orlando
win some games.
Freaking safety car luck.
Yeah. I mean, we saw George Russell win in the rain last year. I think it was slightly raining towards the end. I don't think it was crazy, but we saw George win last year. Can we do it again? I hope so.
Perhaps. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's our Driver of the Day rules. Follow them, please, and if you or don't follow them if you dare. If you dare.
Yeah.
But before we go, we have some things that we want to share with you guys.
Status update, life update.
Yeah.
Updating our Facebook speak.
We have been conversing with each other about how to get our listeners, you guys, to be more involved in our episodes. We've come up with 2 plans, so we'd like to get your opinions. Thoughts on an episode recording live stream on TikTok for the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll post more deets on our stories on TikTok and Instagram, so keep an eye on those.
We can do a little a little post, a little what it looks like before, a little bit of like, okay, who's going to say the intro?
Yeah,
we fight over that every week.
Yeah.
Well, we fight for a national anthem.
Well,
maybe decide who does the intro. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, just to give you guys a little bit more behind the scenes. And then also what we are considering is making a Gears and Glory Discord. And I think that'd be really fun because we can have a Driver of the Day channel.
Yeah.
And we can actually see what you guys vote for.
And we can tell you if you are correct or incorrect.
Yeah.
Or you can tell us if we're correct or incorrect. And we can have a little chit-chat discussion about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Along with, like, you know, live race commentary and things like that.
Watch parties.
Watch parties.
For Netflix shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. F1 movie comes out soon. You know, we can do a little debrief on that as well.
I want to get the popcorn bucket so bad.
Ooh, I don't know if we're getting the popcorn bucket here.
We better. If we don't, I'm actually going to flip the table.
Yeah. I'm considering going to the midnight screening.
Maybe I will too.
I need to get my ticket.
Actually, we'll see, because I have a dance performance the next day.
That's smart.
It's like 6 hours of performing, so we'll see. We'll see.
Oh my god.
We'll see how I feel. But yeah, anyway, back on track. So keep your eyes on our stories. for those exciting things that will be coming out over the next couple of days.
Yes, and comment and DM the Instagram and tell us what you think or what you'd like. Like, as much as this is something for us, it's also something to share. Like, and part of sharing is like engaging with like others. So let us know.
We truly appreciate the people that do interact with us.
Mm.
Answer those DMs. Sometimes we talk about ourselves in those DMs too.
Yes. Comment, DM, us whenever. Our LinkedIn as well. We also love to see some action on there as well.
Episode ideas.
So,
we're a bit slack, but like, I don't know, criticize us on LinkedIn or something.
Yeah.
Rate us. I don't know.
Yeah. Leave us some 5 stars. Anywho, I think that's it for our fun little filler episode.
Yeah.
And we'll tune in for FP1 today.
I'm so excited.
Yay.
Lovely. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.